Hi, everyone. This is Gary Monterosa in a most unusual setting. We're doing What's on Tap from my dining room. And I have a feeling this is probably not going to be the last time that we do this. It's just the way things are in 2020. And who would ever thought it would come to this? But let's just hope and pray that we all get through this and we survive it as best we can. And I'm really honored to have my closest friend in the industry with me here today. And that is Mark Haynie. Mark Haynie, of course, is a founding member of the New Jersey Association of Beer Writers. You probably recognize him from the columns that he writes. He writes for the Mid-Atlantic Brewing News. He's a New Jersey columnist. We'll get into that because that's a Herculean job on its own. And locally in Southern New Jersey, you know him as the beer guy in the Press of Atlantic City. And of course, you were the editor and partner of New Jersey Brew Magazine, and you're the author of a book as well.
Yes.
That's a headache, isn't it? Just putting a book together.
Yeah.
I've gone through that, and I'll tell you what, after one time, I think that's probably going to be about it for me. Anyway, Mark, we have to start by talking about the obvious, and that is the effects of the quarantine and COVID-19. Obviously, the short-term effects, if we zero in on New Jersey, have been diverse. At first, breweries were allowed to do home deliveries, and that was stopped for, I guess, about a week or so.
Probably,
and it's since been started up again. So what's your take on where we are right now? And let's zero in again on New Jersey. That's our home.
Right. Well, I mean, it seems everybody seems to be surviving anyway. I don't know for how long. I know a lot of breweries, especially the local ones here, are backed up with a lot of beer. And, the outlets obviously are few and far between if you don't go and pick it up, or if you don't get them to deliver it, or, there's really no place you can go and sit down and have a beer anymore. So, the short-term effect is obviously going to be hurting their business. As long as we can get people out there to stop by and pick up cans and growlers and crowlers and support the local breweries and the restaurants also, we'll make it through it. Some places, I don't know, those who are on the edge, I don't know what's going to happen. Now we have 115 breweries open in the state of New Jersey, and it's kind of crazy. Competition is like off the wall. So hopefully everybody will make it through, and we'll get through this, and the summertime will start, and we'll all be able to go out again.
And you know what, you brought up a valid point, and that is not only are the breweries certainly affected, that's our ball game, that's what we want to zero in on, but all the ancillary businesses. We have to consider the restaurants, and even in terms of our distributors here in the state, many of them have cut back drastically on the deliveries that they're making because the demand is just not quite there, is it? As people just aren't really getting out. I've also read, Mark, that sales of some of the mass marketed beers have increased, such as Budweiser, Coors, and there's probably a host of reasons. I'm going to get your spin on that, but someone said to me, well, I can go out and buy 2 cases of Budweiser for what it cost me to get a good case of craft beer. And this is a guy whose job is threatened.
Right, but that's always been the case, though. But of course, it was nice. People enjoy going to the breweries and getting it firsthand. And you get to meet people and you get to socialize and blah blah blah. But it's if you're looking for a cheap drunk, I suppose now, people have nothing else to do and to sit at home and watch TV, play with their children, whatever they're going to do. And so, if you want to save a few bucks, you can buy the cheap beer and sit at home and enjoy it. But, it's still, we need to keep the locals going here, So, I mean, Anheuser-Busch certainly doesn't need the money.
That's for sure. There are so many breweries in the state of New Jersey that have a lot of red ink that they're dealing with. Very heavily, I don't want to say in debt, but I guess that's probably is the best word to say. Companies
Right.
that are relying on sales, let's face it. And this is something that could be catastrophic for so many breweries. Now, does the time of year that this has happened, how is this? I mean, we're getting into the warm weather season here in southern New Jersey. There are festivals, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on as well. But could this be a worse time of year for this to strike?
Most definitely. I mean, well, unfortunately, it's extending into the summer from what they're saying. So,
Mhm.
now is the time that people would come out, after being in all winter, although it's been a really nice winter down here.
Mhm.
Um, so, now people can't go out. So that's the problem. I mean, and, they're talking about extending things into the summertime and not allowing places to open. I mean, they're not doing shore rentals here. They're not doing shore sales here. They're not doing a lot of things that where people would come down here to populate the breweries and the restaurants and the stores, and it's going to hurt everybody. So I don't know. It depends on how long this lasts, I suppose.
And we don't have that answer. Even Dr. Fauci doesn't have that answer. And I guess there's no more of an expert than that fella is. But you're right. I mean, that's a valid point. People want to get out. They're looking to go to breweries, go to events. And let's kind of zero in on that. I mean, we've seen so many festivals. We're coming up on festival season that have rescheduled. There is no lock to suggest that they're even going to take place at this point.
That's true. AC Beer Fest, which is the biggest one in New Jersey, um, and he had to put it into August, which is probably the worst time of year for anybody to go to a beer fest, actually, because all the hotels are already usually
Mm,
populated. All the people are already down here.
good point.
So, you have your influx of people are limited to what they can do because there's already a population here that's, crowding the cities. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a little tough for John, but I think in the end, people will show up. It may not be record breaking, but I think they'll all still come.
Good point. That you talk about AC Beer Fest, which would have taken place as we record this past weekend. It's a closed structure. It's at the convention center. Is it conceivable that outdoor events may have a better chance of existing, depending on again the size?
Well, that's only if they withdraw the 10-person, 6 foot distancing, social
Hmm.
distancing. So outdoors might work a little bit better come the end of the summer. I know Wildwood is coming up, and a few festivals down that way. So they may make it if they can still happen, as long as we don't have to keep social distancing. It will be good for them.
Mm.
So we'll see, I suppose.
You're right, and that's exactly what they're saying at social distancing, and there is the threat of it returning this fall. This
Right,
is an unknown area. We're exploring something that hasn't existed in our lifetimes.
right,
We just don't
right.
know how
Yeah,
this will play out yet.
yeah. We've been around a long time. I hate to say that, but
Well, we have.
and I personally have never seen anything like this. I just never thought that this. I mean, this is movie material here.
It is. It
So
is.
it's strange. That you'd think that this is a Hollywood movie right now.
With a bad scenario so far. The only sacrifice I made is I've stayed away from the razor for 3 weeks. I don't know. Maybe this is my quarantine look. I
I don't
don't know.
always.
There's no reason to anymore, for goodness
That's for
sakes.
sure. No place to go.
Writing for your publications, Mid-Atlantic Brewing News, especially where you have to keep up on what's taking place in the state of New Jersey. I don't know when your next column is due, but what do you see the effect of that?
Well, it just came
Basically,
out.
a
I
lot
guess
of
it
what you
just came out.
a lot of what you do is what it's online. You send questionnaires, I guess, or phone calls, or maybe even visits to
Right.
breweries.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I can visit the locals all the time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I depend on email and text and things like that to get the info from those who wish to be included. Um, So, this time I had to rewrite I had my column all done, and I had to do a quick rewrite because of this coming down. So I believe it should be out just about now. I guess they delayed it for a week or two. So I had to change a lot of things. I tried to put in as much info as I could for times that the places were open, and maybe some new beers coming out, things like that. So, but it was cut back quite a bit.
I would imagine. You brought up new beers. This may not be the best time, or is it, to introduce a brand new beer?
No, that's true too. But places are doing it. Those who have canning ability, like Cape May, who's the big brother down here. They are making new beers and they're canning them.
They are.
Whereas where it was supposed to be a brewery only beer, they realized that it's going to sit for a couple of months and it might not make it. So they've been canning a lot of things that they wouldn't normally can. But there's really not much else to do. The boutique is still open. You can go and buy their beer and whatever, but and you can get it at liquor stores. But they're lucky enough to be able to do that, where some places don't have the canning ability right away, and they got to bring in a mobile canner, which is a whole other set of problems right now. So.
And you, I think, nailed it right on the head there. I think when you talked about companies that maybe are poised to ride this storm out, so to speak. Cape May certainly is one. I guess Flying Fish would be another, and be several others as well within the state of New Jersey.
Right. Yeah. So, a lot of them are making it. I mean, now, not filling old growlers is probably going to deplete the supply of growlers. So I'm not quite sure how quickly, the glass companies can catch up when time comes for that.
It's a whole domino effect.
Growlers.
It's just a whole domino effect, the way, we don't think of all these other businesses that are so adversely affected, but it's a whole chain of things.
Right. And shipping, of course, is a big problem now, because, people don't want stuff shipped in. People don't want them to come from other places. And, it's a whole can of worms right there alone, to try to get something shipped to you. So, even Amazon cut back on their shipping of stuff. So
that's true.
It's hard to figure out what you can get and when you can get it and where you can get it. So.
Good point. My special guest is my good friend, and I say that proudly, Mr. Mark Haynie, again, founding member of New Jersey Association of Beer Writers, a columnist for Mid-Atlantic Brewing News, where you can catch up on all the latest happenings within the state of New Jersey. And that is quite a task, because as you said, what, 115 breweries in the state now?
115 that are open now, and there are some on the cusp.
Yes, exactly. Wow, that's a whole other thing too. And of course, the beer guy from the Press of Atlantic City. Okay, we're going to go straight into now the second segment, okay?
Okay.
All right, let me stop the timer, reset. I'm joined by my good friend Mark Haynie, founding member of New Jersey Association of Beer Writers. Mark, your resume gets longer and longer all the time, I think. Are you going to add anything else to this?
I don't think so. I think I have enough to keep me busy right now.
I think so.
We're going to go with that,
Locally, of course, you can recognize him from the Beer Guy column in the Press of Atlantic City. How often does that run?
Once a month. It's usually the first week of, they put it in At the Shore, which comes out on the first Thursday of the month. It comes out every Thursday, but my column is included the first Thursday. I know this month they didn't do an At the Shore, so they didn't really include it. I had rewritten the whole column again to give times and places and things. I'm not sure whether they're going to include it anyplace else, but that is just once a month now, and I try to cover the things that are going on in the local area for that entire month.
And that's really a more generic column, if you will, than what you're doing at Mid-Atlantic Brewing News. I mean, you're zeroing in on beer styles, for example, for the newbie, and also events taking place within the, distribution area of the Atlantic City Press.
Correct. Yeah, I don't do too much on beer styles anymore. I used to.
You did.
There are so many local breweries now It's hard to keep up with those. So I usually have more than enough news between the good beer bars and the breweries and things that are within the area of the press that I don't really need to spend time doing styles and things like I used to do.
You have always had an inventory of beer second to only, I guess, packaged goods stores. And I don't know, I don't know what your status is now. Have you gone through many of them over the last 3-4 weeks?
Yeah. I've gone the last couple of months. Actually, I've been trying to winnow down my load of old vintage beers, and I've done some tastings and I've done some things for share with friends, like I always have. So I really want to get it down to to next to nothing, and then probably start collecting a little bit again. But I had way too much for all those years, and
You have
yeah,
always been smart about some of the things that you've held on to. You've always gone in the direction of beers that could cellar real well.
right, right. You have to. I mean,
Yeah.
the other than that, you're wasting your money. So yeah, there are a lot of good beers. There's mostly winter beers. The bigger beers, the barley wines, the imperial stouts, things like that really hold up pretty well. And I still have a bunch of those left. And we got to have a party sometime
Sometime when we're allowed to get
and
out, right?
yeah, and really dive into it. So or have a party at Tara's house like I did before. I think we went through about 40 bottles of my beers. So
Oh my goodness, that is unbelievable. Yeah. And I want you to just tell our audience, because I know what types of beers you like, and maybe
right.
you can identify. We've kind of hinted on that just now, but you like some of the esoteric flavors, don't you? You like to see people roll the dice on recipes and come up with something new. Would that adequately describe your preferences in beer?
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the United States has really taken basic beer styles and gone crazy with them in the last couple of years, especially. So they're trying anything. I mean, there are vegetables, there are spices, they're using cereal, they're using candy, they're using, anything and everything. Peanut butter has become a big thing. There's even peanut butter whiskey now too. So,
I've not
um,
tried that yet. Have you done that yet?
yes, my significant other here at Whiskey Wednesdays gets a Reese's peanut butter drink every week when Whiskey Wednesday is happening again. But it's good peanut butter whiskey and Reese's peanut butter and chocolate and
Hmm.
blah blah blah. Coffee, beer. So it's yeah. I mean, peanut butter has really gone. Since Sweet Baby Jesus.
Yeah. With the
Really hit
law.
hit
Hmm.
hit big. Yeah. Everybody has copied a lot of things, and there
Hmm.
are a lot of places, even especially in New Jersey too. They're making peanut butter beers, and they're quite good. So,
I probably told
but
you this. I'm sorry. I was going to say I probably told you this story, but I was at Evil Genius in Philadelphia with our good friend Chef Barbie Marshall,
right,
and I think we had a flight of beers, and I said, "Why don't you try this one?" And she took my glass, and took a sip of it. She goes, "There's peanut butter in here. I'm allergic to peanuts."
oh
I'm thinking
geez,
to myself, "Holy cow!"
oh
She
boy,
started to swell up a little bit. I'm thinking,
right,
"Holy cow! What have I done to her?" Well, she assumed the blame on her own, saying, "As a chef, I should have smelled the beer before I took a taste of it." But
right,
thank
right,
goodness she was okay. We can laugh about it now, but I was kind of
sure,
scared
right,
there for a while. I got to admit.
yeah, you don't know, so yeah, you know, you do have to
Absolutely.
watch because you have to know what's in the beers, if you have an allergy like that. So
You do. And I love the point that you mentioned about how not just New Jersey breweries, but brewers, we should say American brewers in general, have latched on to the classic styles and put their own slant to them. And that's part of the American tradition, I guess, to change them, try to improve upon them, but just change the original recipes and see what happens. They've had some really good success stories too.
right, definitely.
Mhm. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you breweries that you maybe think are not doing a great job, but what are some breweries in Jersey that really stand out among your favorites?
Uh, gosh, there's so many
Yeah, I
now.
know it's difficult.
You, I have my locals here. Slack Tide, uh, and Ludlam Island is making some really esoteric beers,
Hmm.
and doing a good job with it, to say the least. Very flavorful. Um, of course, all over the state. I mean, we have, Eight and Sand is doing that. Icarus is making great beers. I don't want to slight anybody, but I mean, they're just,
They
I
just come
couldn't
to mind,
mention
though, right?
all
Hmm.
the ones, so, it depends on what you like, so I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of places still making kind of pedestrian beers, which is great because there's a market for that still.
Absolutely.
I'd rather see them buy that than the Bud, Miller, and Coors. So, if they find something that they like, in these places, what the heck, money's money. And it keeps the brewery brewing the stuff that we like.
Now, do you feel Icarus is South Jersey?
No.
That's a debate
Uh,
that's been going on.
but yeah, I mean, all over New Jersey, there are just so many breweries.
Yeah.
I mean, Flying Fish has really gotten into the fray, in the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And made a lot of, uh, different things. As big as they are, they're still, doing different, barrel agings and different flavors and different things
Hmm.
too. So, you know, um, but there are just, so many here in the whole state of New Jersey, and they're doing a great job.
Have you been in contact since this whole virus has taken effect with any breweries that are on the cusp of opening? Have you talked with
Uh,
anyone?
yes, I did. The one that I think of is the Seed in Atlantic City.
Hmm.
Um, with Sean and Amanda,
Amanda, yeah.
and they're right next to,
Little
Little
Water,
Water
yeah.
and the axe throwing place. So there you can,
Hmm.
you can, enjoy your day, have some beers, have some vodka, and go throw axes at your, you know, bring a picture of your significant other
Oh,
to,
stop it. Well, that's
but
a whole area talking about AC, and then you've got the Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall and all the
right,
complexes there. I mean, they've done
right.
exceptionally well. I got to give Scott credit; he's bringing in some unique flavors as well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, they have their dinners. I've been to two of their dinners, and they're amazing. The, young chef who's there is just doing a fantastic job of matching, the food with the beers that they're doing. And it's a great, unfortunately it's pretty small, but outside is huge. So
Correct.
in the summertime, it's a place where you can seat like 200 people outside. So,
I think I know the last beer dinner you went to, and if I'm not mistaken, pretty much every beer was double digit in alcohol content, wasn't it?
Yeah, both dinners actually.
Okay.
There was the, Bourbon County dinner, and then there was the Firestone Walker dinner.
Yeah, I
So
think I'm
yeah,
thinking of
both of
the
them were very big beers.
abs-
But it went well. I mean, they don't give you a lot to drink, thank God. Anyway. So,
Mhm.
you got plenty of food, just enough food. I mean, you didn't waste anything. Um, and it was a well thought out and well planned out dinner. So I was, they've really fallen into something good.
And you said that the pairings worked; they were effective.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, the chef is a great young guy and has a good palate, and obviously he's doing the job.
Hmm. Do you know where he came from?
No, I don't.
Mhm.
No,
You don't remember his name offhand, do you?
no, I
We'll
don't.
probably end up getting a message from Scott about this. You know what?
Yeah, probably,
But
no
that's
doubt.
kudos for him, though. Congratulations that
Oh
he's
yes,
able to put that together because you could mess up a serving very easily.
oh yes, very
Apparently,
easy.
he's got an
You know,
exceptional palate,
so
which is good. So, Mark Haynie, who is a founding member of New Jersey Association of Beer Writers, New Jersey columnist for Mid-Atlantic Brewing News, and of course the beer guy in the press of Atlantic City. These are tough times, obviously, and we're going to do our best to get through it. And
yep,
Mark, I thank you for coming on to join me here in this most unusual scenario here at What's on Tap. And
yep.
I will see you, I guess, when I see you, whenever
Yeah.
that is, maybe down
Thank
in
you
your
for having me
area.
on.
Well,
So
always a pleasure. And be well.
yes,
You're
yes,
in your brand new home now, aren't you?
you bet. Yes, I am.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh my gosh, yes,
You don't have
overjoyed.
you have cabin fever though. You want to get out a little bit.
Well, no, I mean, I can still go places. I went to Home Depot today. I'm building stuff here, so
Are you
keeping me
now?
busy. Yeah, so I
What,
got
what,
some
what are
things.
you working on, if I may ask?
Well, I built a shelving unit in the garage. We have a double garage here, so
Very cool.
storage always helps. And I got to bring my beers from my friend's house, my collection back over to here, so I'll have it. So
How
I need a
much is
place to.
still left? Did you have still many,
Uh,
many bottles?
I probably have maybe a little over 100 bottles, maybe.
Well, you have pared it down quite a bit then.
Yes, I have. Yeah, I used to have 400 or 500. So
Oh
yes.
my gosh, that's amazing. How about whiskeys? You have any whiskeys?
Yes, I have. Oh, I don't know. I probably have about 10, 15 bottles of whiskey too,
Oh Lord. So I tell
varying
you what.
sort.
So I guess what we can tell the audience is if you can't make it to the packaged goods store, stop over and see Mark.
Yes, yes. Anybody's welcome anytime. We can
All
sit
right.
6 feet apart.
As long as we're 6 feet apart, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, thanks again, pal. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay. And thanks for
Thanks.
joining us on What's on Tap.